The legal challenges to Bill 96 continue to multiply for school boards, for bilingual status municipalities. You name it, they're going to court. Montreal's different Anglophone communities are taking the government to court. And here to clarify what is being done and what is actually at stake is one of the attorneys representing TMR in court, Frédéric Bérard. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks to you.
So when you hear that these challenges are multiplying, first of all, what can actually legally be done? We're talking about a stay, but can we actually reverse this at this point?
Yeah, well, for sure. I mean, each and every time a parliament enacts a new bill, this bill has to be examined by the judicial power. And this is what's going on right now with Bill 96. There's many different avenues, different points, different arguments at stake. But frankly, I think that Bill 96 is sincerely a very big problem for the Quebec society because everyone agrees that French is important, that French is primordial, that French needs to be protected, but the next question is how, and this is what is the biggest problem with Bill 96.
So the how, in your legal opinion, is fine to protect it, but not by diminishing Anglophones and minority communities, if I'm understanding correctly.
Yeah, obviously, and also, I mean, when I say you need to protect French, you need to do it in a proper way. And what is the proper way? The proper way means that you don't have to botch it. You can't botch your bill. And in my opinion, Bill 96 was botched big time. And if you remember, the first time we spoke together was last April. This is what I told you. I mean, Bill 96 was written like à la va-vite, as we say in French. This is what's happening right now. There's a lot of provisions that are not clear. This is what those municipalities are asking the court to clarify those provisions, and you have other problems with the school boards and such and such and such.
Well, it's interesting because we'll talk about the municipalities in a second, but when they go after the school boards, for example, and the way the school boards are run, that's central to the actual teaching of the English language and allowing different Anglophone communities to have their schools. Constitutionally speaking, what do you make of that?
Well, you know that's one of the problem with Bill 96. The Parliament tend to forget that Anglophones have some constitutional rights, and as somebody said in the past, I think it was Clifford Lincoln when he was minister for Robert Bourassa. He said rights are rights are rights. So this means that if you do have rights, and moreover, if those rights are constitutional, you just can't put them, throw them away just like that without any regards. So frankly, I think that we need to reassess all that, and that this is why we have the judicial power in democracy, is to make sure that we have a counterbalance and make sure that the fundamental rights are protected. So as for the other municipalities, what they're asking right now is can they keep their bilingual status? And they're saying that in the fact, I mean, even though that bilingual status is recognized by the bill, doesn't mean that in reality this particular statute is protected. So they're fighting for it, and I think that they're right to do so.
But how does this play out? Because if we understand the court process, and I think I do, everything is slow.
Yes, you do.
And it's long. And so what happens in the meantime? If you can get a stay, for example, fine. But all of this is very long. And in the meantime, what happens to the actual running of the school boards? What happens to those actual municipalities? I mean, there's a legal process, but there's also a day-to-day. How do you marry those two things together?
Yeah, you're right to say that the legal process is usually quite long. That's for sure. But there's a way for the court to render some kind of ordonnance, as we say in French, to make sure that, for instance, the bill might be suspended for a while, that we make sure that those rights are still protected until we have a decision at the merit. This is, many possibilities that might be considered by the court, and clearly the court will have to think about that. How can we protect those fundamental rights meanwhile?
But how does this play out, do you think? If, as you say, the government wrote this sort of really fast on the, like they just wanted to get it in there and they didn't really clarify all these things. How does this play out? I mean, in the long term, if these are, as you said, rights are rights are rights are rights, and this was written all willy-nilly, what is the end game here? What happens?
What's the end game? Well, actually, this is going to Supreme Court of Canada. This is what's going on because we have a government, which is the government of François Legault, which is trying to make some political gains on the back of the English community. This is what's happening. And I do repeat what I said in the past. Everyone, even the English people in Quebec, agree that we need to protect French. But protecting French doesn't mean to infringe constitutional rights. And if you want to protect French, you have to do it, in the proper way. And the proper way means not botching your bill, making sure that all the provisions are clear, making sure that this is coherent, and just remember that what happened with the directive for health services in English a few weeks ago. They did adopt a directive that was a real mess. They had to re-adopt it a month later, saying sorry about it, we did botch it. Think about it. It's crazy because here in Quebec, we never had in the past this obsession about the English community in a bad way. As Lucien Bouchard said, as Jacques Parizeau said, as René Lévesque said, English people in Quebec are part of us. They are part of our nation. But now you see that government of Legault who's trying to making political gain. And see what he's in France right now, and see what he said 2 days ago. He said what the immigrants might be deported at one point. I mean, it's crazy when you think about it.
Yeah.
We've never been that far, and frankly, that is a shame. And don't be surprised if Bill 96 is partly struck down by the court because it is unconstitutional.
Frédéric Bérard, again, constitutional lawyer and professor, thank you so much for your insights. We'll speak again very soon, I'm sure.
All right. Thanks to you.